Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call the budget committee to order, please. There is a set of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Finance report is in your packet. Nothing particularly special I need to point out. We tend to continue to run at a good pace. I remind everybody, we're looking right now in the general fund through January, you're 5.3 million to the good for the year, but I remind everybody that April, May, and June are slow months. So, we just have to let things play out, but this is not a bad place for us to be at this point in the year.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the director's report?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Time for amendments.
First one is for the Ag Center. This is for Miss Donna Bain to move her up. What she would need for the rest of the year to be moved up even with Dale at the Expo Center.
So that's a raise, right?
That is.
And we didn't give one to the landfill people, did we?
No, ma'am, we did not.
We haven't given one to Weymouth, have we?
No, ma'am, we have not.
Is it possible to wait until June when we're doing our budget to do this?
I thought Quentin was going to be here to speak on the behalf of it, but it's possible as far as I'm aware.
Well, there's no doubt she needs it. I wish she could have it, but I think the timing's terrible.
I don't disagree with you, ma'am.
That's just me.
I feel the same way. The woman is very deserving.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be thought that she's not, but it's just not we can't sing aloud.
No.
And it's his money, I get that. Correct?
It is. It would be coming. Well, it'd be coming from his fund balance, and then you would be funding it with what would hopefully be growth in hotel motel tax. I mean, that 5406 gets you through the end of the year, and then next year, yeah, you'd have to up it to cover it for the whole year.
Proper way to do it, being bring it at budget time and have it in his budget from now on, right?
Yes, sir. I think that's probably correct.
And I think, just from our side, it is probably an oversight, really, for us not realizing the scope of work. She's always done that large scope of work, and then, we get an expo center, and, you try to get compatible with those people that run expo centers. Well, she does just as much work, if not more, because she has the whole Ag Center. And I'll be honest with you, just like a lady in my office named Rachel Warren, many years ago, she was making probably less than 30, and and then she was the top dog.
She was the mayor.
She was. She's the only way I survived. And then you got chief deputies in these other offices making at least twice as much as she made. And and that's my bad for not doing that. So I agree that this needs to be addressed, and I understand the proper time is because we told Cindy and Emma to road commission. I understand that, but she does need it, and it does need to be adjusted.
Well, if he brings it in his budget, she will receive this 1st of July, correct? When his budget goes in, if we pass the budget that way.
Yes, sir.
We're trying
And
to
it
get
would
down to
be
30.
March before she would receive it now, right?
That's
Yeah.
Really? So that's April, May, and June. That's 90 days.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, the March thing is negotiable. You guys could even vote to back pay her to a certain date if you chose. I'm just saying, when it starts is up to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, after hearing the discussion, I will ask if there's a motion to approve. Is there a motion to approve? Dies for the lack of a motion.
Next one's for the circuit court. They need to buy a couple of computers. They're asking to get that out of their data fee reserve. Their computers have to be purchased through the administrative office of the courts. They can't go buy them at Dell or anywhere else.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve Is there any questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign.
County attorney's budget, I think he's here tonight. He had a computer and monitor that were ordered last year, and the invoice never made it through. So it's a bill that we've now realized is outstanding and unpaid. He thought he'd paid it out of last year's budget, but we're just now getting it, so we're asking to take that out of fund balance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any motion and a second?
Shoot, I should ask for
All in
more.
favor, say aye. Any opposed?
I would go back on Miss Bain. Is there any way that somebody could address and let her know that this was not a vote of non-confidence or not lacking?
His
'Cause we
minutes.
all,
I hope his minutes will reflect that.
I've had a conversation
I'll
with
put
her
that in
personally.
minutes.
Yeah.
okay, if somebody would do that, I think that would be helpful.
But it still stings, I know.
Oh, I
what's got
got
there,
it.
But I assured her that come budget time, if
Should be
Quentin
taken
put it
care
in his
of.
budget, we'd do everything we could possibly to make it happen. It's just not right to single her out when we've got other employees needing raises in the middle of the budget year.
I understand.
As bad as I hate for her not to get it.
Sure, I'm with you. No problem. Go ahead.
The next one is from Mr. Jeff Dixon, who's retiring. This is his leave that we have to pay out.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve drug court amendment. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay.
The next one is no new money. The drug court budget used to have to be split into 3 different categories. They had 3 different grants that were funding it, and they had to report the wages in 3 different categories. They no longer have to do that. So rather than maintaining these .1s and .2s, I'm asking just to move all that into one line.
Easier, huh?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve drug court amendment. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Warren, this is the payout for Mr. Warren. His accrued vacation.
Vote no.
Is that recorded?
That's probably. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional comments?
Let the games
I
begin.
think not.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
You'll laugh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's to be on the front page of the newspaper.
Yeah,
No newspapers here tonight.
we're running a little bit short in dues and memberships. There's a lot of dues, the RTA, and the list goes on. So we're asking to move some out of, money out of other uninsured claims to cover dues and memberships. Some of these dues are based on populations. Since our population has increased, some of these dues expenses have increased also.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
The next one, the big thing is the 2008-81, basically the lines got flipped. Should have been into principal and it was into interest or vice versa. So this is just to correct that as we're making the payments, and then $100 that probably just didn't get put in there.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Peg is asking to move money from other supplies and materials into communication equipment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Tourism is requesting money out of a reserve account that they have. It was, last year they got a $25,000 grant that was supposed to be in addition to their regular budgeted expenditures. All they spent last year was their regular budgeted expenditures, so we put the 25 into a reserve account, and he needs that now. He did send me an email. One of this had to do with maybe the speedway and something else. I can't remember exactly what it had to do with.
Sue sent it, had him
Yeah.
send me.
Yeah.
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 So I want to make sure we had the same thing.
Yeah.
And this motion would be subject to their meeting on Monday.
Correct,
approval.
yes, correct. Yeah, it does say up there tourism committee pending, so it is pending tourism committee.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Can you give us a little idea of what this is gonna be spent on, or did I tell you?
Wendell, I can forward you the email that he sent me. I know it had something to do with sponsorship out at the Speedway, and I don't remember exactly what it was.
Let me see if he's told me anything here, Wendell. I just picked this up a while ago. We are going, sponsorship and registration at Rendezvous South, which is a planners convention. And then, our sponsorship with Nashville Speedway. We co-op with state tourism and pay part of that. Now, what that means, I don't know, I'm just reading what it
That's
says.
what for the races upcoming.
Yeah,
Upcoming.
it's in this budget year, yeah.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Any no's? All right.
Veterans is asking to transfer funds to pay for engraving on the walls over there.
Are we engraving?
I'm assuming that's
More
the
names?
names. Yeah.
Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay.
I got a question on that last one. I know I was involved in the golf tournament for Wilson Warriors, and they paid for a lot of that. I just was curious to know how much engraving the Wilson Warriors is paying out of their nonprofit versus what we're paying here. I mean, just curious.
Your engraving normally is paid for by the people that get their name on it.
But Wilson Warriors does pick up some of that.
They pick up some people that are not able to pay for their own. Everybody else that gets your name on the board, pays $100.
So
And
if
the
they're
people on
paying,
the
then
wall,
what are we paying for?
that's transfer of money, I think.
Yeah, so the money, they're not paying the vendor directly. In other words, we're not supposed to spend any money without you guys appropriating it.
Yeah.
So
Money
just
that
because
they-
we take the money in doesn't mean we have authority to spend it until you guys put it in the
So
spendable.
we're collecting it from the folks and we're passing it off to the vendor.
Correct,
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
correct.
Gotcha.
Education.
It's a car, not the wind.
Michael?
They have copies.
But yes, sir, they do.
I'm sorry for the small print. So we have a budget amendment tonight. We're not asking for any money. There's just no new
Look at
expenditures.
this and look at
The
that.
first one is I budgeted revenue in the wrong account. The state wants me to put it in IDEA, and I had another to education funds. We've got that money. I just want to correct that for comparability purpose. The second one, the state has approved us to pay for some counselors out of our federal projects fund. So if you'll notice, I'm reducing revenue and we're also reducing expense. I had that budgeted in indirect cost, and so now they want me to pay it directly out of the federal projects fund. So we're not asking for any new expenditures or no new money either. So
This would be subject to education committee as well.
that's it. Any questions?
Make a motion, subject to education. Pass.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve, subject to education approving. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, Mayor?
I have just some stuff to bring to you on the American Rescue Fund and money. Which, you know, we waited for quite some time for the final rule to come out. And the final rule came out, and actually after April 1 of 2022, you can use the extra amendments that they allowed. For example, they allowed us that if we saw loss in revenue, we could count that in as loss in revenue, and that frees that up. In my conversation with Commissioner Walker, you know, he said they would like to have a part, and in talking about this, I was gonna bring all of these to you as a budget committee and let you decide. But I really agree with him that we could let these all go to a committee level first, and then let the committee come to you. So I've broken them up like this, and I want you to listen to them and listen to the amounts that I have so far, so you'll know. And I'm gonna start with the one that will go to cable TV. DTC, with Brent Adcock and Chris Townsend came to me, and they have a proposal that they'll explain to them for about $2,218,000. They also have a proposal to upgrade the internet and workings at the Ag Center for $1,886,816.40. United Communications came, and actually Commissioner Franklin put me on them many months ago when they were talking about trying to bring a trunk line through here with 129 miles, and they wanted to kind of hook up to our government entities first. They've come back 3 times since then with 3 different proposals, and the trunk line maybe is kind of going away, and they're doing some other stuff. So I don't have an exact amount there. They are the ones that work with Middle Tennessee Electric, so they will also present to them.
I believe it's 17 million is what they're looking for.
Okay. TDS with Bruce Moulton also wants to make a presentation. Comcast, I think you said a lady was here last night. Nick Pavlis for them come by to see me. I know you've been working with the school system and the Lebanon Special on some stuff too. Not really for sure about that and what all that entails, or if that entails any of their money or just your money here. And then TVA Connect Committee pilot grants would like to address y'all as well. So that's that to go to the Cable TV Committee. This would go for that $14 million out of the Public Works. So just so you know, just to remind you, we got $14,048,963 on June the 7th, 21, and June the 7th, 22. We'll get another $14,488,000, just so you'll know. 048, excuse me. So out of Public Works Committee, we will send this group, which would be Diane's group, and that would be LaGuardia Utility District has asked for 2 projects for you to consider. One, $5,332,800. Those 2 projects respectively are $2,731,300 and $3,345,000. Freddie Weston has made also for West Wilson Utility District a request for $300,000. Gleyville Utility District's Danny Bledsoe has 5 projects. Those are $632,500, $495,000, $1,350,000, $1,320,000, $3,712,500. The Wilson County Water and Wastewater Authority has asked for $3,050,000. Robert Bain with Public Works would also go here. He's asked for you to consider doing away with this boiler and chiller stuff. Just 5 minutes ago, my office flooded because the water off of the drains goes in the pipes where this water condensation drains out and drains to the sewer system. So when the sewer system fills up, those water comes back up those pipes and come in here. So it's an old boiler chiller. And then if you actually work here for a living, you'll realize when it's hot in the morning or colder in the morning, hot in the afternoon, our people die because we can't cut the boiler off in time to get the chiller going. And you know, I thought that was ludicrous when I went to a special school district, but I realized I was wrong, and you can't do it. That's the way the system is. So anyway, he has an HVA system for $1.2 million that he would like to consider, y'all would consider. Also a COVID system for $280,000, and also the health department is asked to expand their operation at $161,400. That is paying 80. They'll pay 80% of what they're actually going to do. That's only 20% of what they're asking. And Ms. Pam Wiggins called me from the library board, and she said she would love to have a Watertown library. She's found land and wanted me to ask you to consider that as well. And so I want to give that to you. Then going to the Health and Welfare Committee, you have these Health and Welfare Committee, Long Hunter and Cedars of Lebanon. There's been the Parks Board has worked on a greenway to connect those 2 parks. Will be the only state park to state park greenway. They would ask $1.2 million. The state would pay the rest of that. Wilson Rides, which is already up and running for a year now, would love $150,000 to get them sustainable so that their dues that are being paid from here on out will keep them sustainable. Also, that's where your money for your license plate, if we get that approved and 1,000 signatures, the extra $35 will go to support Wilson Rides and keep them funded for the rest of their time, which is a great thing for our seniors. And then Wilson Works Economic Development had asked for $370,000 to get them up and going, and then they feel like they can be supplied from there on out through the Industrial Development Board and through companies that will invest in them. Also, Health and Welfare, John McMillan with the nonprofit United Way had asked could he present. I do not know if you want to consider anything about the school property that we're fixing to address in this. I don't know that it can be, but it's there. The radio system, which we spent $3,393,365 already. I don't know if we need to go back through law enforcement and ask them to ask you to take this money out of here because it was intended to come out of there. So to make sure it does the same process that everybody else does, I would like to send it back through there. Premium pay, $3,242,076, I think came from budget, and it would stay at budget. And then there has been a conversation that they would like to have with the insurance committee for the large claims that hit us during COVID illness and COVID deaths, to replace some of those funds, and so they would like to consider that as well. So as you consider these, and I know there's a March 17th deadline, and y'all can do whatever you want to. There's a 14 million there and 14 million coming, but just consider all of that as you think about it as it comes to you. So if this committee is good with me delegating it to the subcommittees and letting them hear it out first and then bring it back to you, that's what we'll do. If you say, no, Mayor, we just want to have a work session and all these people come in front of us at one time, we'll do that. I thought Mr. Walker had a good idea, but I'll do whatever you want to do.
It'd be like doing health and welfare meetings, budget time, wouldn't it? That way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I
it
like
is
the
that.
new way.
Yeah. So if you
I've got a
want.
quick question.
Yes, sir.
I mean, on the broadband, we had a meeting last night, had some lengthy discussions. I was under the impression there were only 3 that were submitted for grants. Do you know if each one of those are submitted to the grant through the state or just some of those?
I think they've all wanted to get a piece of the pie from the state. I do not have I know other day I signed a letter that DTC asked me to sign that says, hey, will you be interested in hearing our proposal? We want to send that in with our application. I signed that, sure, because I know you guys are on point with that. But I can't answer that, and these people would love to talk to you. Now, you can tell them, hey, I don't want to hear from you. That'd be up to y'all. But they just all call and ask.
The thing about the cable stuff, the broadband, is it's going to the state. They're asking for a match from the county, which, so if you're talking about, say, 20 million total out of everybody asking, 10% would be 2 million. I'm just spitballing. That's if, the county wanted to address that, but it wouldn't be like 20 million to the county or any of that. They're going to the state.
We're going to take a portion of the total ARP, and that's gonna get spread amongst all the people coming.
So it leverages a lot more money, and then it spreads this. And the consideration for us was to, I guess, graciously tell them that, no, we're not gonna split your match. We may give you something, but.
And some of these smaller projects, I've had discussions with some of these folks before. I knew they were out there, just a matter of when were they gonna land, so.
And there may be some money too for your utility districts from, to be matched as well. Because everybody I've talked to have not said, I want you to fund my whole project. I just want you to fund a little piece of it. We're gonna put this much in, if you
Yeah.
put this, we're gonna try to get so much from the state level. So, yeah, they're not asking to rate this, I mean,
And I guess probably this first pass, we do have a hard and fast deadline on some broadband. So we might say, we might do this for broadband, but what can we pick up in this second wave, this money that's coming right down the pike in 8 months or so? What do we do now? What do we defer? Maybe we had to make that decision first and see which ones we move on first and which ones we move on second. And
my thoughts were we just get the committees together, y'all make y'all's pitch to the budget committee and let them decide. I mean, once y'all kind of sift through it, y'all would be kind of the gatekeeper, and then you just figure out how much you're willing to spend out of your pot right now to go to them, because they're in a hurry. Everybody else.
They're in a hurry.
Yeah, everybody else keeps
We're in a
Y'all
calling.
are in a big
we're in
hurry.
a pinch.
Yeah.
Explain to me why you're in a pinch. I don't understand.
The deadline for the grants for the
State by
broadband
grant.
at the state is
Deadline.
March 15th. That's the deadline. So for us to put forth a resolution, we're meeting on the 28th. The only other way to get around it is to call a special county commission meeting between the 28th and the 15th to pass a resolution across the floor of the commission. So,
And I do think as we look at these maps, and that's what I know you will do, some of these companies are overlapping. I know that's a good thing if you're talking about competition, so I get cheaper prices, but also I think our goal is to make sure that everybody in Wilson County has a good shot at getting some internet at their home if they want it. But yeah, I mean, if you're good with me putting this out there, we'll get them going tomorrow. You already got your contacts probably. I'll give you everybody else I've got.
yeah, I'll meet with you. How about tonight before I leave out? Because Mike and we've got kind of
Got somewhere
an
to be.
agenda to post.
I got
We can
it.
get the emails to send it out in the morning. We'll get it out.
I've got it ready to go. All I gotta do is tell send
We
it.
need the
I'm sorry.
email addresses from the mayor, who to send it to outside of our group,
Oh, okay.
the providers.
Yeah, send me those, but I'm gonna go and have Sandra advertise it,
Yes.
right, because we're meeting Wednesday.
Now, here's my only thing, there's how many different providers? We may say Wednesday, back up Thursday, I don't know. We put it out there for Wednesday and we get two of them say, we're not coming because that other,
We don't know how many.
yeah.
I
I
can
mean,
fix
Thursdays,
that.
we got an event, we're out of pocket Thursday.
They don't
so.
come right out.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't show up.
You know, they
I
want
would be
money, they're gonna
too.
show up. They want the money, they'll show up.
They're asking to underwrite their investment with public dollars is what they're doing.
Sure they are.
Mayor, what
We
about,
don't do a lot of that.
I tried to listen to all your long
sorry.
list there, but was there anything about a, convenience center in, Lakeview area?
No, and we have, so we, I actually talked to a guy on the phone today, that drove all the way to LaGarda, and since the storm happened and we closed, he couldn't dump his trash, and we had a great conversation though. But I asked him, I said, we're looking, we have the money to do that, we know we're ready to go with that, we can take care of that through capital project. I don't know that it would qualify through here either,
Okay.
but we're ready to do that, we just gotta find land. I mean, we finally think we found some land in Noreen to take care of us there, because, you know, that was going away in June, but Cindy talked to a guy today, and that me and Sarah went out and walked the field the other day, and we think that might be a possibility if he's not sky high. So, but I mean, the land in the convenience center we wanna do, we're all about it, we've talked to Mount G and said, hey, you put it where you want it, we didn't wanna put it where they didn't want it, you put it where you want it, but they haven't found us anywhere, and we've asked, and somebody come up with 2 acres, we jump in a heartbeat. I think Cindy would, because her guys are having to drive, and then our citizens are having to drive so far to Suss Creek.
Have we put a RFP out?
Maybe I could sell them my land.
What?
Tell us your
Put a
backyard.
RFP out.
Backyard.
Oh,
Okay.
question for
Yes, sir.
Aaron. If I understand right, in the final rule, they more or less gave it a standard deduction of 10 million that we could count as revenue loss. That will cover everything that we're obligated to right now, correct?
Yeah, and we won't use that because our actual revenue loss actually turned out to be greater,
How much greater?
15 million.
So we covered all of it.
It covered all of it. We could do the whole first round under revenue loss, however, everything that we have watched up to this point has said, if you can get something to qualify under something other than revenue loss, do that, use revenue loss as
That's where I was
fallback
going
position.
with this. So roughly, that would leave us, if the 3 things we approved so far wouldn't qualify, that leaves about roughly 5 million. And we
Yeah.
have an additional 14 million coming,
Yes.
so that's 19 million.
Does that
And
match
spread
yours?
amongst your many numerous requests.
Does that match yours?
Should we set
That's
out, where
mine.
I'm going with this, should we sit down and designate, as this committee, we wanna put so much towards broadband, we wanna put so much towards water? Then we meet with different ones. You see where I'm going?
I do, but I think if you'll, you know, if the committees will come to you and say, this is what we want, then you'll know what all the pieces are after they've been sifted through, because they may kick out some things and say,
Well,
that's not, and then you
We still
decide
have the
where you
last
wanna
word.
spend it.
I understand that, but what I'm getting at, and I talked to Mr. Walker this morning, you know, broadband is a way of life now, we all need it, it's a necessity. But we still have a world of folks in this county that don't have running water in front of their house, and I can't think of a greater need than that myself.
We ain't got
So-
enough money to do that.
So I'm just, you know, I'm just wondering if maybe we should figure out how we wanna divide the funds up. Like I say, I'm not against broadband at all in any way, but I'd say if a person had to choose between running water and broadband, they might choose water.
A lot of these projects, hopefully, Tommy will be able to figure out how many people are actually gonna benefit. I know when I was at TGFOA this past year, I think it's ECD, they're doing the grants for the
Yes,
broadband through.
ECD.
ECD said we've invested $120 million, and we have, anyway, when you did the math, their $120 million had, it was about $800,000 per person is what it cost to actually get broadband to somebody when you did the math. So hopefully we get some kind of idea.
on our investment. Yeah, we're gonna ask the hard questions at cable, and,
Yeah,
we're gonna pattern our resolutions, so if there are requirements with the state grant program that they have to provide feedback that we're covering this area, and we're gonna do it in X amount of time, we're gonna have X amount of people subscribe and apply to our network.
yeah.
We're gonna use the same rules that the state is, since we're both given the same ARP money coming from the federal, it's just pass-through money. I'm gonna follow the state's guidelines, and they're gonna report to the state the
Yes.
same as they report to us.
Yeah, and it is a catch-22. If it was a profitable place to serve, it would be being served already. So it's a catch-22, but it is expensive,
Very capital intensive.
yes.
I think to add to what you're thinking too, Mr. Tommy, is that we know that the dollars that we're gonna go here, they're getting some extra help. I'm hoping the second bill coming out of the federal government gives some help on this water and sewer stuff that you're talking
I
about.
understand.
Yes.
So it goes further, because that is important to both of us. And I don't know, I mean, I truly believe the premium pay and the radios, the money we've spent already, is qualifiable.
Yeah, we've run it up
Yes.
as qualified,
I mean,
yes.
I don't think we spent anything so far that's not qualified.
Well, I understand, but,
Yeah.
Yes.
but still, even if it doesn't, if we've got 15 million in lost revenue, that solves the problem with that part of it.
Yeah, yeah, the one thing
Now,
that
I understand you're saying they prefer you to go the other route.
Yes, well, when the auditors come in, they're gonna look at the Horn Group. So we send stuff up in front of the Horn Group, they look at it and they render an opinion in terms of saying, in their opinion, this qualifies. Now, that's not authoritative, but it makes everybody feel, the auditors feel a lot better. That's the consultant that the state has hired to see that these funds are spent correctly. So if the Horn Group says everything is okay, the auditors are gonna feel like everything's okay.
Do we need to make a motion to do what you wanna do?
I would like your
Do what you
blessing,
wanna
'cause
do.
every bit of communication I'd sent out before was just, I was gonna let everybody come make a presentation in front of you. I wasn't gonna go this route until Dan mentioned it, and I thought, that's a good idea, I'll present that to y'all, and if that's what you wanna do, you got to call. If you say, just don't do it, you got to call there too. But I mean, I think this committee, that's where I was going to go with the money, so I want y'all to make the decision how y'all
It'll
wanna
end up
handle
back
it.
here.
It's gonna come back to you
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
go forth with the committees you're saying.
It may need to come back to you before the meeting though, like on the day of the meeting.
The 28th. We may send a resolution to you on the 28th.
Just on yours.
Well, that was why I made the suggestion, maybe we should figure out what percentage we wanna dedicate to broadband. And then we could do that if we need to. And then we wouldn't be under a time limit for the rest of it.
Might as well tell them now.
Does that make any sense?
We, in our meeting last
wanna do
night,
Well, that's,
Can
You
you
got
do
14 million right now.
there was some discussion last night from one of the providers from Comcast. And what they heard down on the hill from ECD is ECD was kind of giving some guidance of your ARP money at the local, set aside 20%. So if you take 20% of 14, that's $2.8 million. We will not go above 2.8 if you feel that's correct, or if you want to set it at 2.5. I don't care where you set it, you just give us a number and we'll work within that.
well, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yes, sir.
Keep in mind, they may not do this, cause they may not get, all this does is give them more points. to
Well, I
rank
understand,
the
but that
state.
gives
They might
y'all
not-
that gives y'all the ability to move forward and not
That's
be in
right.
a time crunch.
That's right. It's still gonna be a time crunch, we'll have to move through it, but.
You wanna put that in the form of motion?
No.
Who you? Junior.
You wanna say something?
Don't like it.
If you don't speak up, I don't understand.
I'm good.
Over mumbling, then says I'm good.
I spoke my piece last night. We're good. Check the minutes. We're good.
The one thing that does bother me about the broadband is most of those companies are purely for profit.
Yeah.
And that
That's what
that
you-
is not something that sets the very best for me.
Me either.
But at the same time, I know our schools, we don't have adequate broadband at a lot of our schools, do we, Jeff?
All of our schools have fiber. We're fine, we're fiber. Schools are fine, at school.
No,
At school, yeah.
You get at least
Communities.
No, at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I said schools, but just like when y'all had to set up the remote learning in the parking
Oh, no.
lot.
It didn't go good.
I understand that deals
That's
with at home,
in our
but-
actual school buildings, yes. we
But
do that.
still, we had problems all over with it.
Yeah.
So I understand the
We still
need
do
for
on
it,
remote learning days.
but it's a little hard for me to wanna help a for-profit company. Especially when I bring up something like we've got people that don't have running water at their house, as far as public water.
I did leave one thing out that is very important, and that is sewer extension to the Central Pike Fire Station. That's my bad. That needs to go to Public Works. That's not down to Mount Jewett Road, that's just down to the station.
Yeah.
So, just looking at what you're talking about, Mr. Tommy. So you already spent, out of your 14,048,000, you've already spent down to 7,413,000. So if you wanted to divide that up between Public Works and cable and health and welfare, you could. I mean, but you got almost 7.5 million to split if you want to designate that. Some of that to broadband, some of it to water and sewer.
Well, now,
And some
I
of this
thought I
could
know-
go, come out of the next round as well.
employees, 3.5 million.
3.2.
It came in,
It came in
a
under.
little under.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Came
I
in
thought we
lower.
were gonna be closer than that,
Yeah.
but anyway.
And your radio,
3.2,
Yeah.
and 3.39,
and, radio system,
3.39.
3.39.
And I just subtracted those.
1.7.
Yeah, that's what we haven't
That-
dealt with is the Wingman Station 1.7.
Yeah, scratch my
Now-
bad on that one. I forgot about that one too.
Is that this stuff?
Yeah, that is that stuff. I got it in there, didn't you put it down?
And then you're adding, how much for the sewer?
I do not have a price. Been waiting on Mount Jewett City to okay the design. They finally okayed the design, and now they're giving me a price, which has saved me some money because they wasn't gonna let me hang it over the bridge. Now they are. So I'll know that at some point.
Nice round number, you're gonna have about 5 million left in the
That's what
first
that's what
tranche.
Yeah, yeah.
But now 5's a long ways from 7.
No, they're going to the state, we're just gonna have a small matching portion. And we're gonna follow those pieces.
Yeah, about 7.
Yes, sir.
On the broadband, it's almost impossible that any of these grants would hit the cash register before the next round of money. Because the state would have to approve it, the feds would have to approve it, it would have to come back, it'd have to be taken up by the private sector. As far as timing goes, there's no way that the broadband money would come out of this 7 million anyway. It would be the next.
Be out of
round.
the total.
It-
The next
Well, I
round.
understand,
Plus the
but
next
once we
portion.
obligate it, we can't use it
That's
somewhere
right.
else.
That's right.
That's right.
So you're thinking 2.2, 2.3?
Eight,
Well,
wasn't it?
2.8 is 20% of just the
Oh,
first batch.
I
I'm just looking at
misunderstood.
the first 14. You take 20% of that, you're at 2.8, so I'm happy with 2.5. But if you took all 28, and take 20% of that, you're talking about 5.6. I don't
Well,
know
how
that-
about this? Why couldn't we obligate 2 million right now? And then we've got $19 million total to work with. If we need to come back and add to it, could we do that, Dan?
Or they're asking
We're
everybody
gonna
the
have,
same?
we're gonna have to send
Is that what they're
resolutions,
doing?
you got a meeting next Wednesday to budget.
Asking everybody
that
for the
Monday,
same
so-
amount, that their little conglomeration.
Explain that to me one more time.
We'll go ahead and obligate 2 million.
They look
right
at
now.
us and say, they got it.
And then down the road, if you figure out that you need the extra 800,000,
Yes.
you could come back
This
to us
here's
for
what,
it.
some of these, like the ag
That's
work,
Junior's problem.
I don't think that's gonna go to the state, 1.8 million, I don't think they're gonna submit that to the state, I could be wrong. And that could be a project for next year, out of next year's allotment. And it may be, some of these, we say we'll fund this year, come back to us next year on these others.
Well, but now, see, that's what we're getting at. We're talking, we've got $5 million really on hand to work with currently, correct, Aaron?
Yes, sir.
So if we obligate 2.8 of it, that's over half of it, what we have on hand right now. That's the way I'm
I thought
looking
we
at
only
it.
obligated 7.7 so far.
No, we had another 1.7, so we're actually down to like 5.7, I think was the last number the
5.7.
mayor had was 5.7.
Or you just did.
If we obligate something at this point in time, if this committee says, okay, we'll obligate 2 million or 2.5 million. The committee itself may come back after all the presentations and say, based on everything we've heard, we may not need that much money. Is that a
Correct.
possibility?
That is correct.
Very true.
Because we don't know what we're looking at until we listen to everybody. And it'll be an open meeting where everybody can come and listen, so. You're exactly right.
And another step, what they bring back to the budget committee, we may not agree with.
That's true. We'll try and give it our best shot. You know, we'll have 5 folks sitting there and we'll give it our best estimate and give you, you know, how we feel and why we decided to submit the resolution this way. But we're gonna protect, it's not our money, it's pass-through money from the federal government. So we're gonna attach the same feedback and accountability that the state is with their program. They're basically running the program. We're just tagging along with our grant money. So if they gotta report to the state, whatever they're reporting and accountability is, I want the same feedback from those providers. It's the same money, it's just coming from a different level of government.
Can I make a motion?
Yes,
I know I'm on the committee, but
Well, I would think so.
I make a motion that we provide a 2.25 million to this committee to work with to bring us back information at our next meeting.
Second.
Will that mess you up? Gotta know by the 17th, is that what, 15th?
Well, we might have to have a meeting Monday night before
On your way in.
on the way in.
Is that good?
But that would be your next meeting.
That would be the next meeting, yeah.
You wanna spin it over?
I
If you
understand.
call it.
2.25.
you seconded it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Now, discussion.
More?
Hmm?
More discussion?
Well, I have to ask that question. Okay.
I want to make sure y'all understand the logistics of this, so if they divide this out Wednesday night and make their recommendation, it's gotta go to the county commission in 5 days. And before y'all can act on it, y'all gotta meet somewhere in there between Wednesday night and Monday night for it to go to the county commission. Then when it gets to the county commission, the rules are going to be suspended because the packet goes out.
That's it.
Take
That's
rules.
right.
So there's a whole lot of moving parts here.
So we gotta meet at 3:30 since you got all those other meetings.
Well, that's why you're not telling him when he
Yeah.
came in, might wanna back him up 30 minutes anyway, cause
That's
this'll
right.
take, you see how much
It'll take-
time it's taking tonight, you
Yes,
can
sir.
imagine what it's gonna do Monday night.
That's right.
Resend that email today
That's
and
right.
start over.
No, you're exactly
It's
right.
gonna take some time.
Yes, sir, it is.
We'll just be here at dinner Monday.
But what I recommend is, anybody on budget, come and listen to those cables, so you'll understand kind of, so when you show up at budget, you'll kind of have a lay of the land of what's going on.
We need to qualify that too, Dan. The presentations that are gonna be made to you in work session have some proprietary information.
That's true.
So we're gonna have to keep those people out except for the one making the
Does
presentation. When
everybody
you get done with
understand what he's
that,
saying?
No.
These
Yeah.
projects that are being submitted, these cable networks are proprietary, it's not public. Like Tommy said, these are for-profit companies, and their networks are private and confidential. So the projects they submit to the state, they submit it, but they submit it under the understanding that the state will not share that information with anybody, it is confidential. So when we have our meeting on next Wednesday night, we're gonna have a meeting that starts at 5, and if I got 3 players, or I got 4, or I got 5, they're gonna have equal amount of time to come and make their presentation, one person at a time, closed door in a work session, because we're not gonna share this information amongst those parties. It's private, it's confidential, it's proprietary.
but once you get done with that, then we'll go back into open session where everybody can come in and talk where the money's talked about.
And then we'll have deliberations.
Yeah. So it'll be decided in a public meeting, but the proprietary part's got to be
So I'm honestly
protected
thinking,
somewhat.
you know, I thought we only had 3, I was gonna give them 20, I'm thinking, we're gonna need 15 minutes to ask questions, to have any kind of sense of what we're dealing with on each project. So we'll give them 15 minutes apiece, however many show up, And at that point, we'll go into our committee meeting and we'll deliberate.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Committee members, is there any further discussion? Or attorney?
Just to make sure I understand, I think I do, but I wanna ask. We're obligating 2.25 million out of the existing 5 million we have right now on hand.
I don't think it matters which tranche it comes out of, but if that's what makes everybody,
Feel good.
Well,
we can designate it that way.
We've had this conversation many times. It's not ours till we get it in the bank, and we
Yeah.
don't have that additional 14 million.
Yeah, and I only say that because, according to them, they may enter into, or we may enter into an agreement, but that doesn't mean any money's gonna change hands.
I understand.
Right.
And I didn't
And
use
that's
the
how
word-
we're gonna fund it.
I'll go with that.
But I didn't use the word obligate,
I took that different. You're giving them a pool of 2.25 million to work with.
to work with.
Between those
Whether we
applicants.
spend it or not, we
When
may
you
not
bring
spend
it back
I
here, then
understand.
y'all vote on whether or
Right.
not you obligate.
Exactly.
But the reason I use the word obligate is, those funds will be going against the 5 million we have on
That's-
hand.
If we
That's
approve it,
5.7.
yeah.
I think we're all splitting words, but
It
I just
makes
wanna
sense.
make sure
It
that
makes
we're all
sense.
It takes us down
understanding.
to
Yes,
3.
it makes sense.
We can't obligate
Right.
more than we have on hand,
Yeah,
is what I'm worried.
yeah, it makes sense. Yes, sir.
So I'll just say one more thing. And benchmark was the word I was thinking, that we'll give you this much to try to spend if you can, but not obligate. But as I listened to every one of them talk to me, they all had great stories.
They're good salespeople.
I mean, they do, and they've got in here roads that they're gonna cover, and I know that cause I asked them, I said, so how much you putting in? And they all told me. So I really, if I had to do it, I'd do it the chicken way, as Diane always says.
Cluck,
I
cluck.
know there are 5 people there, I'd give them all, according to what they've got, a certain amount of money, because they're gonna make up the rest of it to do. As long as they agree, then they all get a little bit, and that qualifies them for the grant. And I ain't gotta say, well, United Communication, I'm gonna give you 2 million, I'm gonna give you 500,000. If they give you a good plan, you give them all a little bit, which gets them in the game, gets them to submit their thing, and then they go get whatever they gotta get, and then for our monies, we want you to cover Goshen Road and Taylorsville Road and these roads right here. So that was a diplomatic way, I guess, to that. So that was on the front end, what I was gonna suggest, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But that got them all,
Yes.
in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
I think.
all their 20
that gets you within your time frame.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm a numbers guy and a pricing guy. It's real simple for me. You give me 2.2, I'm gonna add up the total of their projects and make a ratio, and that's our starting point. 0.7, this is 250,000, here's 150. Okay, now board members on the cable TV committee, you tell me why one should be more than the other or less.
Okay.
That's how we'll shake it out.
He's retired, he's got time.
Okay, we've had plenty of discussion, I do believe.
You've been retired.
All in favor of approving the motion, say aye. Anyone not approving? One more thing, Jeff, I'm sorry, I passed over you. Land for school.
We're gonna bring you the information that where we have, where we're at. We'll bring that to the education committee, and then it'll be up to them to determine if they can move on it or not.
And that's the 28th, right?
And we will do that the 28th, yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna start at 11 o'clock that day.
Start at noon. Bring the food.
Maybe we'll go back to the quarterly court meeting, meet in the morning,
Yeah.
break for lunch, and then meet that afternoon.
Dinner on the ground.
Okay,
Good.
is there
They
any
talk
other?
about nothing gets done in the morning until they got their lunch, and then
That's
they come
right.
back and vote on
Then that
it.
time they didn't come back.
One question.
Mayor, do you have anything else? Anybody else
Oh, come
have
on.
anything on the committee? Members have anything? Peanut gallery?
One question. On the rules motion has budgetary implications on the PEG channel, being videoed in multiple meetings. Is that coming this month or is it next?
Yeah, I sent those out today for y'all to look at.
Does this committee have to,
I believe that's not until next fiscal year though. Budget
Effective July 1,
Yeah, budget
Okay.
time. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not this year.
but there's 4 resolutions should be in your inbox. I want y'all to look at them,
Doesn't
make
have to
sure I
be
got them
tonight.
right. I don't want a Sarah Patton moment. I want to make sure they're right. Okay?
all is well?
Anything else?
Y'all are doing a great job.
Make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.